This is York's only local show on York's only local station.
Wakey, 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 wakey. It's time for school.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
And it's a great day, and it's good to see you.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Get it cooking. It is a Monday morning. It's the Gary Sutton Show here, the Main Street of York and York County. Mark McKenzie with you as we are back from the holiday, working off those pounds. Cyber Monday, which really doesn't mean a darn thing anymore because spending was up on Friday. As far as cyber was concerned, 9%. 9%. And but that doesn't mean anything anyway. So great to have you aboard this morning. I hope all of you had a great vacation as we kind of cruise into the show here with a little the new opener, which we kind of like. Hope you feel free to let us know what you think of our new opener if you like that. Or maybe you don't. And we came up with that. In fact, Daryl came up with it, so we don't take any of the blame. But no, Daryl, we asked Daryl to do that. Daryl Henry is the greatest at coming up with that kind of stuff. But he came up with that for us, so we really do appreciate it.
Indeed.
Our presenting sponsor is Barley Snyder, attorneys at law, and of course a strategically focused law firm, and strategically because they have 29 different areas that they deal in. Representing businesses and organizations and individuals in all major areas of civil law with offices throughout Pennsylvania and Maryland. Their over 130-plus attorneys provide innovative and effective representation to a wide range of clients in those 29 areas that I mentioned. And you can check them out at barley.com right now, and they are ready to say hello to you. Yeah, they're very good people. They have great relationships. I've met a lot of the lawyers there, gotten to know them a little bit. And not only great relationships, but a wonderful reputation for getting results. So there you have it. Barley.com is where you want to go right now. BARLEY.com. This hour of the Gary Sutton Show is brought to you by Heritage Hills Avalanche Express and Noni's Table. You know, if you talk about winter fun, Avalanche Express in York is a place to go up on top of Mount Rose Avenue. Snow tubing, ice skating, memories that last all season long. And you need to find out about what it's all about. Now's the perfect time to grab season passes, which are starting at just $59. And I've got a WOYK listener exclusive right now. You visit Avalanche Express. I'm hearing some music somewhere. But you visit the avalancheexpress.com/Gary, and for every season pass you buy, you'll get a $10 gift certificate to Noni's Table. And what's Noni's Table, you ask? Well, that's the brand new little get-together place, the cafe overlooking the greens at Heritage Hills. Whether you're gathering with friends or hosting a group book study or simply unwinding with a creamy latte and a good book, Noni's Table is York's coziest retreat, where they have special drinks and coffees, fresh pastries, and handcrafted breakfast and lunch favorites with gorgeous views tucked inside Heritage Hills Resort. Check it out at Noni's Table, Nonis Table.com. So all of that here this morning. Our question of the day today, I saw a recent survey. And in this survey, they asked people whether our system of democracy is working in this country. And only 25% of the respondents thought it was. I mean, what do you think? And if it's not working, in your opinion, what is wrong? I'm kind of interested in that this morning as well. Lots of things happened over the weekend. We had killings after we left the air here on Wednesday. 2 National Guards people were shot. One died. Sarah Beckstrom, one of the 2 guard members, died there from West Virginia National Guard branch, serving in Washington. And a guy came across the country who was an Afghan, a guy named Lackenwall, who had gotten in here back in 2021. And he apparently came across the country and shot these 2 people, just shot them. And so then you get into the whole larger question that people jump to. Well, is it time to send some of these people back? The president immediately went to that. Is it time to send some of these migrants back who have been lawfully allowed to come into the country? Have we vetted them out enough? All that. I had a story today that I wanted to throw to you, making foreigners pay $100 extra to visit our national parks now, on top of the normal rate that people have to pay. So that's a big one today. Pete Hegseth on killing everyone on a Venezuelan drug boat attack, and not just launching the attack on the drug boats, but if people were in the water, shooting them. There's a charge out on that, not a charge out of that, an accusation out on that right now. And the Senate and House are looking into that. We'll check with Scott Perry on that this morning, see what he thinks about that. Shutting down Venezuelan airspace. President Trump is doing that at the moment. And is that something that we can do? Is that something a president is allowed to do? Again, lots of questions here being raised today. Black Friday now in the old days. Do you miss Black Friday? I went out on Black Friday, and I got to tell you, it wasn't that big a deal. I drove down to the Eastern Market. I drove over to Dick's and got some stuff at Dick's Sporting Goods, and it was like a normal day. Now, I saw a few more cars out there, but frankly, it was like a normal day. But do you miss Black Friday? Do you miss the hustle and bustle? I don't. I never went out on it that much anyway, and when I did, I usually was doing a show somewhere. And I watched everybody else being miserable, all the guys walking around behind their wives with their stupid sweaters on and carrying stuff. And that was what I thought Black Friday, looked like to me. And I used to ask a guy, I said, why are you out here this morning? He says, my wife. And but now it doesn't seem like it's that big a deal anymore. And I saw 9% increase in online buying on Black Friday. Yep. And then we had another shooting over the weekend, 4 people dead in California at a party. Is there anything wrong with we're having a party and people get shot? First of all, what the hell are guns doing? But they don't know yet exactly what happened. They think there might have been a targeted shooting. They're not sure right now. They're still doing an investigation on that. So lots of stuff happened over the weekend. But Mark, today is all kinds of national days today.
Yes.
And one of them is kind of serious, I guess you'd say.
World AIDS Day.
World AIDS Day, yeah. I mean, we don't hear much about AIDS anymore, do we?
And why is that? Why do you think that?
Well, I think probably because we have some kind of, if not a cure, at least something to really slow it down almost to the point of being a cure, right?
Yes. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So, and it's not killing as many people as it used to.
It's not.
So...
Remember when Magic Johnson came out and said, I have AIDS, or what leads to AIDS? And Magic Johnson's still doing pretty well last I checked. Mm-hmm. So, but I remember there was a time where it was like, oh, my goodness, when Rock Hudson went down. And then after that we had...
Yeah, well, people were scared because they didn't know, exactly what was causing it or how it was causing it. How do you stop this? I guess it was a virus.
Yep.
And, so fear is always the first part of things you don't know.
See COVID. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but COVID was pretty serious. But I mean, but there were people that died in both these kind of cases a lot, and so it was really a concern. When Freddie, the guy from Queen, Freddie Mercury died from it, and if you've seen
lots of famous people actually,
you have, and I'm just thinking of those two off the top of my head, but there were a lot of people after that. So,
but World AIDS Day. If you want to see an interesting movie, it had like an all-star cast. It was called and it was a very well-received book on the AIDS outbreak and what it was like at that time. If you don't remember it, there was a movie called And the Band Played On.
Yep.
And if you haven't had a chance to see that.
I saw the movie, yeah.
Yes, very interesting. Anyway, other than that, Cyber Monday.
Yep, Cyber Monday today. And 24 days to Christmas. Hard to believe.
Yes.
24 days to Christmas, 30 days to New Year's Eve.
I do have a question here, though. It says Walt Disney. It says Walt Disney Day. But I can't quite figure out, and I've been looking around, and I can't quite tell if they're confused about Walt Disney's birthday, which is on December 5th.
Right.
Or Like, why is this Walt Disney Day?
Yeah, there's no good reason.
Right. It's not the 5th.
And if you're not going to provide a decent reason, we're not going to let him get away with that.
His birthday is not the 1st, so I don't quite understand that. Antarctica Day.
Somewhere there's got to be a district court judge who can take care of that for us.
Perhaps.
Seriously.
And it's Antarctica Day. That's how you pronounce
Yeah,
it.
how many people are celebrating that?
Antarctica.
Yeah.
Yes, it sounds like it would make a good cocktail.
Yeah, not exactly a place I would want to go visit.
It is National Christmas Lights Day.
What, I'm assuming you get your lights up today.
I guess it's, or if you've had them up and you've been waiting. I had somebody, was it Deb? Somebody where they live, they can't turn, I don't think you can turn them on.
Is that an HOV thing or whatever?
Yes, it's like but you can't put Christmassy kinds of stuff up. You could put the lights up, just don't turn them on.
Oh.
It's kind of weird, yeah.
Well, kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? I guess get ready and
yeah. So those blow up Santas, no, that's a no. Lights you can put up, but don't turn them on until National Christmas Lights Day. That's today.
Yeah, I had a complaint last night. I was driving out through New Oxford, near New Oxford, going out to dinner, and I had to go MC a Spring Garden band concert yesterday, which was great, by the way, out at the Eichelberger Performing Arts Center. And so on the way home, it was dark. My wife and I stopped and had a little. My wife had her first banana split last night. We stopped at this little place called.
She never had one before.
She never has had a banana split.
What
Never
prompted her to do that now?
Well, we were driving home, and I said, "You want to stop and have some dessert?" We had a nice lunch that day, and we did the concert. And we're driving home, and I said, "You'd like to have some dessert?" We stopped at this little place called Graybill's, which is just outside of Abbottstown. It's been there forever. A lot of people know Graybill's. And so I knew they had ice cream. She said, "Where do they have ice cream?" I said, "Well, it's Graybill's place. They have ice cream." And so we drove through Abbottstown, come out the other side, we pull in. And so we're looking down the menu, and I said, "Do you want to get like a light dinner?" She said, "No, I'm really not hungry for that, but I would like some dessert of some kind." I said, "Well, let's take a look down the menu." So I'm going down the menu, and I saw CMPs and hot fudge sundaes and pies and cakes. She said, I said, "What do you think about a banana split? Would you like to split a banana split?" It seemed like a nice play on words anyway, and it was eloquently delivered.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah. I said,
Does she like bananas generally?
Well, she does. And I have one right here, and she buys them, and we both eat bananas.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, I looked. I said, "Well, these other things." She goes, "No, I'd like to have a banana split." She said, "Come to think of it, I have never had a banana split."
No kidding. Wow.
And so she and I shared a banana split. She loved the pineapple topping and the vanilla ice cream. I was more into the strawberry and chocolate because of my exotic taste there for that, and my much more refined palate. And so, but we had a wonderful time sitting there over a banana split. We ate almost the whole thing, didn't quite get through it, but between the two of us, we were able to eat it. But it was very good.
Wow. Well, I applaud her.
But all of that was leading to the fact that I've seen a lot of lights up, and I was going by this one light display that I would have had to stop to count all the things in the yard. It was so much.
Oh, yeah. It started with Halloween.
Well, yeah, and if I have to stop, I mean, isn't that a distraction now? So I think we ought to just outlaw displays.
I don't understand.
We have to have a certain number of displays, no more than that, because I'd have to stop to count them all and take a look at them and see.
Yeah, these blow up things, and
they're nuts. I mean, it's crazy now.
I agree.
I saw some that were very tastefully decorated. My house has yet to be decorated. My wife still has our fall display of pumpkins and a straw bale, and I don't know.
There's more to do.
And she's home today, so I think she's probably.
I would wait.
Yeah,
I'll wait a couple of days.
I may go get the decorations today.
Oh, they are. Where are they?
Well, they're down in the garage that I rent, and so I may go. I'm still deciding on the look I want this year.
I see.
Look.
I let my son. Decorate my house.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens.
Good at that.
We'll see what happens with all
Food
that.
holidays.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Go ahead.
Eat a red apple day. Not a green apple.
A red apple.
A red apple.
So we're profiling the green.
It's another convoluted thing.
Yeah, I know. When you have to break it down that far, it's probably not worthy of a good
And
day.
this one, I could have swore we did this already.
Go ahead.
National Pie Day. Pie.
You know,
Pi
they,
Day.
they let the PI thing, that 3.14
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
So they say, well, that's National Pie Day. Everybody has,
Yes. No, it's not that.
pie discounts
Pie.
and all that.
Yes. Do you have a favorite kind of pie?
A favorite kind of pie?
Boston cream pie.
Well, I like Boston cream.
I know. That's why I said it.
I like coconut cream. I like anything with a cream in, just about.
Okay.
I like egg custard. Now, I don't know if you can make an egg custard. I think there's egg custard pie.
Would that be like a chess pie?
I don't know.
I think it might
I don't
be.
know.
Anyway.
I do like a pecan pie occasionally if they're not too sweet.
Yes.
So
That's
that's
also very good, especially if you shucked the pecans yourself. Or is it pecans?
whatever you call it. We'll take a break. We'll decide during the break.
Now,
Go ahead.
and we're going to, in the next 3 breaks, so the breaks
Okay.
remaining in this hour, each one, out of it, we're going to celebrate a person who we don't normally mention here, but it's their birthday. So one of the things that makes them notable, and why would we mention their birthday?
Okay.
This next guy, haven't heard from him since the 70s. Frankly, I think you heard me. I was aghast that he was still alive.
Huh.
So
Aghast.
his birthday, the first one in this hour.
I've never heard you say a gas
I know.
prior to 6:30.
I'm full of surprises.
We always have right here on the Gary Sutton Show, the main street of York, and it is 6:20.
years. Whatever else that appears. I remember I cried when my father died, never wishing to hide the tears. And at 65 years old, my mother, God rest her soul, couldn't understand why the only man she had ever loved had been taken, leaving her to start with a heart so badly broken. Despite encouragement from me, no words were ever spoken. When she passed away, I cried and cried all day, alone again, naturally. Alone again, naturally.
Those of you of a certain age will remember that song by a guy named Gilbert O'Sullivan. Kind of an interesting song. It tells a nice story, a little bit of a ballad, I guess. And yeah.
He was just a young guy, and he had these hit songs in the early 70s. He had one called Claire. He had one called Get Down. And then he disappeared.
Yeah, he did.
Never heard from him again. I thought he was dead. But apparently, Gilbert O'Sullivan, Alone Again, naturally, #1 song, late summer of 1972. And he is 79 today.
Huh.
So congratulations.
So he's still
to him.
around.
Yes,
And,
he's still around. Lee Trevino, by the way, 86 today.
Yeah, hard to believe. The guy who was Jack Nicklaus's nemesis there for a while. And Lee Trevino had the great line. He said, you know what pressure is? Pressure is playing at $3 Nassau when you have $1 in your pocket. A Nassau in golf is you play $1 aside, and you know. And he said, but he was just really kind of a fresh breath of air for golf during a time where everybody's kind of buttoned down, and Lee Trevino comes along, and he's kind of swash.
I still see videos of his
kind of guy. Yeah, it was very cool.
He's still plays a little bit. He's not on the tour anymore, or even the senior tour.
He was on the Happy Gilmore, the remake
the movie
we were talking about. He was in that. Yeah, so he's a good guy.
So after the next break, so the one at the bottom of the hour with the news, we're going to come out with the birthday of someone else who, if I said her name, you would know instantly. And then the last break, if I said his name, you would say who? But you know both of them. You really do know both of them, at least a little bit.
Here's a question for you today. How's your refrigerator looking right now? Is it still? It looks like it's still a game of Tetris. Tonight's meal would probably be a Thanksgiving leftover buffet, right?
That's right.
You still have that, but it's been 4 days since Thanksgiving. So technically, today is the last day to eat your leftovers before they go bad. That's technically now for guys who live by themselves. We go.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
That's exactly.
Yeah, some people might live dangerously and push them a few more days, especially with food prices these days. But experts don't recommend it. You won't just get sick of eating it. You could get sick for real. According to the USDA, turkey stuffing, potatoes, sweet potatoes, green beans, gravy, and pumpkin pie can all be stored in the fridge for 3 to 4 days, and that's it. If you don't want to waste the food you have, most leftovers can last a few months in the freezer, so get them in there ASAP.
So here's the thing that Deb and her family do. She gets containers.
Oh, yeah.
And so after everybody has eaten and everybody's had seconds,
load them up.
Then everybody automatically grabs their container. They go and they just load it up. And the only downside of that is there's not a lot of leftovers for her.
Right.
There's like, well, what do you got left? Mashed potatoes.
Well, of all the foods, which food do you think can last a week to 10 days?
You mean the longest?
That you have as a normal Thanksgiving
I would say
dinner?
Dressing.
Actually, cranberry sauce.
Ah, okay.
Cranberry sauce lasts a week to 10 days, and the canned stuff can last up to 2 weeks in the refrigerator.
Okay.
So there you go. But
it's good.
If you're on your 15th different way to eat turkey right now, maybe it's a good time. Maybe it's a good time just to get rid of it.
I didn't even have a turkey sandwich. Oh.
Really?
No, I know. It's crazy.
That's unusual for you.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, because I'm not really... do they sell, like, Well, I guess there'll be Christmas, so turkeys will still be on the menu.
Oh, yeah.
So frozen turkey. There won't be a sale till like January, maybe.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Well, I was thinking about maybe looking for a turkey breast or something. So
And it's hard to believe today is the first day of December, but there are a lot of things to look forward to in December. For example, a bowl game like every day. They kick off December 13th. And, of course, Penn State is in one. 6-6. They won somehow over the weekend. I watched that game with Rutgers. It was incredible.
do you know, I saw a stat that they put on the TV. They said, and this was before the game was over, that the two teams had over 1,000
1,000 yards.
Yes.
It was crazy.
Of offense. It is crazy.
It was crazy. And two teams that aren't known for putting a lot of offense on the board this year. But Penn State looked like they were going down. I mean, the guy drops back and drops the ball. Just drops it. And guy from Penn State picks it up, takes it to the end zone. They win. They have to, how to stand after that to hold it. They had to get a first down on fourth down, but they won. In a typical way, you would expect Penn State to win this year, this weird year.
Yes.
Winning 3 in a row, losing 6 in a row, winning 3 in a row to finish. So, So bowl games coming up. Penn State will be in one of those. It will not be one of the big ones. There's NFL and NHL action all month long. The MLS Cup final goes down this Saturday. Let's see. And the third annual NBA Cup tournament runs through December 16th. And that one is that's new. All right. In theaters, the big ones this year are Avatar, Fire and Ash, opening December 19th. And the SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants, lands the same day. I hate SpongeBob SquarePants. And I hate the trailers for it. And I hate the movie, even though I'm not going to go see it. So there you go. And I'm using that the true, hate kind of thing. And people that do that stupid SpongeBob SquarePants. If my child had ever been around during SpongeBob SquarePants and done that, they'd have been benched for a long time. I'm just saying.
Feel better?
Boy, I got a load lifted there. We'll take a break. We'll come right back with more here on the Gary Sutton Show. And, of course, this hour being brought to you by Heritage Hills and the Avalanche Express. Yeah, go to avalancheexpress.com/Gary right now, and you can get your family pass, or get your season pass for just $59. They start at $59. Of course, you can get family pass and all that. You can find out about that. But Avalanche, AVALANCHE, the letter X, express.com. AvalancheExpress.com/Gary. And for every season pass you buy, you'll get a $10 gift certificate to Noni's Table right there at Heritage Hills, where you can enjoy all kinds of special drinks, coffees, fresh pastries, handcrafted breakfast, lunch favorites with a gorgeous view of Heritage Hills. You can check that out at nonistable.com. So avalancheexpress.com/Gary and then nonistable.com. All here on the Gary Sutton Show. We take a break. We'll be right back at 6:32.
was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was a top man at his craft. But then his number came up. And
this was one of my favorite songs when it came out. I love
No
this.
kidding.
Oh, I love it.
Why is that?
Well, it's got that Andrew Sisters sound, but it was. I had never heard of Bette Midler.
Well, most people have.
No. She had a few people that became famous singing in her band there too, like Melissa Manchester was one of her singers. And, But I like tight harmonies like that.
I see.
And she had a very unique voice, very pleasing voice, but very unique. She sang some great songs.
And mostly, it's the tearjerkers that she's good at.
Yeah.
The Rose,
Wind Beneath My Wings.
Yes. Yeah. So she had a lot of songs like that. Those are the memorable ones. But I thought we'd go back to the beginning. And
yeah. Well, that was where she kind of burst onto the stage.
Well, she used to have this. And again, a lot of people I don't know how much she tours these days, but back then, she did a lot of college campuses, and it was a crazy show. It was a kind of mix of
buck wild.
Oh yes, that was a good term for it.
Yeah,
she would sing. She would tell bawdy jokes.
Yep.
I mean, it was quite an experience.
And then she became a pretty good actress. I mean,
yes.
That what 9 was it? Not 9 to 5? Was that the one she was in? Or was it The Housewives?
First Housewives.
First Housewives.
Yes,
she was very funny in that, and some other movies as well. But she could be she could sing a Torchlight song with the best of them. True. I mean, she was very, very good. How old is she today?
Right. So it's the reason I played that. It's her birthday today, and she is 80 years old.
That is hard to believe.
It is hard to believe. I saw her, I think it was, one of the talk shows on at night, but it was just a clip of her. So I thought, wow, some go into recluse. They don't perform anymore. But she was right there on stage, and I thought, wow, look at that. She said, I had no idea she was 80. Now the guy that's coming up, I'll wait and tell you his name before the break.
Okay.
But when I mention this guy's name, you're going to say, who? Never heard of that guy. And then when you hear the song that he's known for singing, you'll say, oh, I know that guy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited already. But we're talking about...
it's Monday after 4 days.
About somebody I don't even know.
Oh, wait till you know this guy.
Okay. Anyway, we were talking... Somebody wrote me here, and they said, hey, Gary, geez, how do you know, when it's time to throw things out? And by the way, you could text me 833-478-4729. We'd love to hear from you. We'd like to have you text a little bit more with us here on the show on a regular basis. And you can also check out our podcast, by the way, WOYK on YouTube later on today after the show. But this person wrote me and they said, what are the signs, it's time to throw out your Thanksgiving leftovers? And I found a list in my exhaustive research. For example, here's a sign.
Yeah.
It looks like guacamole. It feels like guacamole, but it's not guacamole. That's a sign that your leftovers is time to go.
True.
For example, it hisses when you touch it. That would be a sign that it's probably not ready to eat. It's covered in fuzz, kind of like when Timothy Chalamet tries to grow a mustache, and then here's one. Everything else in the refrigerator slowly backed away from whatever it was that you sat there that was down green. When you offer it to the dog and he says, thanks, but no.
Right. If the dog doesn't go.
The dog says, I'll catch you on the rebound.
That's so funny.
Nickelodeon wants to pour it on people at the Kids' Choice Awards. If that's the case, it's time to throw it out. It's the same shade of green you turn when Nana asks you to rub her bunions.
Nana.
Yeah. And it's evolved a brain capable of processing simple tasks, like Rob Gronkowski. If it does that, it's not, don't keep it around.
He wasn't on Fox yesterday.
Wasn't he?
I think Deb said he was sick. They had his buddy Julian Edelman on.
Who was one of the great pass catchers of all time.
It's a clutch receiver, no doubt about that.
Yes, he was. So there you go.
So that's how we know. Do you have any left in your fridge?
I think my wife is pretty good at quietly throwing things out. And I think there were a couple things left. I saw these little containers that came home with us for Thanksgiving. And I think they'll probably be gone today.
Okay.
And by the way, today is Cyber Monday. We want to remind people it's the last one where people will be able to enjoy spending their money before AI takes their job. So enjoy. Okay? Have a good day. And for those of you with the internet, start shopping. And for those of you without the internet, hello, Kentucky. All right. Keep in mind that keep in mind that online retailers can't verify age. So today's a great time to stock up on cigarettes, kids. No, don't do that. Don't smoke. You don't need to do that. Okay. Anyway, there you go. I'm sorry.
Hey, how about this?
Yeah.
This is what we do now that we're in December, and I feel now it is open season, okay?
All right.
We had some of these stories like last month and the last couple of weeks, these type of stories where, word of the year or, something of the year. And it's like, you know what? You still got a couple of weeks. Don't be doing this now. But now that we're in the month of December, it's time for the lists to start coming out.
Yeah.
And here is the first one, and this is most outrageous stories of 2025.
There was a lot of jaw-dropping moments, epic surprises, and unforgettable history-making scenes that played out across the country this year. And Harvey Levin and the crew at TMZ will dish on the 10 biggest in TMZ Presents TMZ's most outrageous moments of 2025. Levin takes a deep dive into the biggest stories of the year and the ultimate year-end spectacle.
I'm not incapacitated.
From the health and financial issues surrounding Wendy Williams to the criminal trial of Sean Diddy Combs and the wedding of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. The series lands on Fox Tuesday at 9 Eastern and streams the next day on Hulu. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Now, those are things that I would not have really, A, cared about, or B, thought about. And so someone has a certain vein that they're looking down there to try to hit people. By the way, the question we asked at the beginning is Cyber Monday now obsolete? And I ask that because Black Friday is making it obsolete now. Adobe Analytics says Americans set a new record for online shopping this past Friday. I mentioned it kind of briefly at the beginning. $11.8 billion they spent. That's up about 9% from $10.8 billion last year. Now, the peak, get this, Mark, was from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. when we were spending $12.5 million per minute. Per minute. We also spent $6.4 billion online on Thanksgiving Day. So, we weren't just eating turkey. We were out there, eating up products.
It's multitasking. That's what's going on.
That's what it is. More than half of those online sales happen on phones this year, and it looks like in-store sales continue to trend down.
How about this? They were probably shopping on their phone while standing in line at a cash register.
Or from the toilet after dinner, whatever.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't think of that.
I thought I'd share. The feeling among more and more people is why battle the crowds when you could shop for your couch? We are much more practical that way because we have this stuff at our fingertips. But there is a little bit of nostalgia for those of us who have gone through it over the years that it was kind of fun going out there and having to fight for a parking spot.
Some families would do it together.
Yeah. Fight for a parking spot, stand in line forever, sit out in lines in the highway, wonder what the hell was going on. And, but there was a little bit of love lost there. I think that there's a little nostalgia. Yeah. I felt it.
Did you?
Not at the touch. Yeah.
Me neither. I watched the Eagles game.
Yeah.
And
I watched the
talk about frustration.
Yeah, I watched the Ravens on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, how was that?
Oh, it was terrible. They were awful.
Oh,
5
the Eagles
turnovers.
were awful.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, it's interesting. We would talk to Mark Hendrickson about that later today. A changing of the guard right now. When you think about it, the also-rans are becoming the Rans here.
I think that it's
starting to move back up again.
It's, the defense, I think, has always had its day, in the NFL. Yep. It's defense wins championships, but it's the offense. It takes a creative mind to be able to think up the plays and to be able to convey this to players, and it's just a difficult. It's a difficult set of skills. Well, I'm telling you, the combination of the Chicago Bears. Proficiency, at least the way it looked, compared to the Eagles. I mean, Eagles made them look like, Super Bowl winners, and I mean the Bears.
Yeah.
There were some plays. I've seen a lot of football plays in my day. There were a couple I've never seen before. I mean, I don't know where that came from. Brilliant, just brilliant concepts and execution.
Yeah.
And the Eagles just had no answer for it on either side of the ball. But they did that a couple of years ago. Remember when they had that fade at the end of the year? But they all worked that out, so who knows?
All right. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll start to preview some of the big stories that have happened. There's a lot of that happened since we last talked to you on Wednesday of last week. And we'll hit some of those for you when we come back here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
And Eric Bloom. It's Eric Bloom's birthday.
That's swell.
Do you know who Eric Bloom is?
Not yet.
Oh, you know who Eric Bloom is.
Okay.
And we'll explain next.
The only thing I remember about this song is the Saturday Night Live sketch.
Yeah, you did. You didn't remember. Did you like this song when it was out, or you don't?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
like
I didn't like it at all.
Yes, it was a big #1 song, and it's still played today. It's one of the what do they call evergreen kind of classic rock songs.
Yeah.
And the guy singing there,
Eric Bloom.
That's Eric Bloom.
Yeah.
Yes, most people don't know Eric Bloom.
And most people won't care that they didn't know Eric Bloom, like me.
81 years old.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, it's swell.
Blue Oyster Cult.
Happy
Don't
birthday,
fear
Eric.
the Reaper.
Yeah.
Well, so far he hasn't.
No,
81.
No, it's Eric's. I knew him when. Anyway, welcome back, Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. Interesting right now that we have tons of news today. And we're going to be talking to Congressman Scott Perry this morning at 7:05 to get into a lot of that because a lot of it deals on the national level. But words. I was reading a thing this morning that more than half of the teenagers surveyed in a certain poll lately called the News Literacy Project said they don't really like the news at all. When asked to describe the news media today, Mark, 84% of teens responded with something negative: bias, crazy, boring, fake, bad, depressing, confusing, scary were some of the words they used.
And consider the source.
Yeah, but again, they went on to say more than half of the teens surveyed believe journalists regularly engage in unethical behaviors like making up details or quotes in stories, paying sources, taking visual images out of context, or doing favors for advertisers. That's what they believe. Again, that's their perception.
Yeah.
Less than a third believe reporters correct their errors, confirm facts before reporting them, gather information from multiple sources, or cover stories of the public interest, practices ingrained in the DNA of reputable journalists. Now, you've been a reputable journalist for a long time. And for people, when how does your mind work when it comes to doing a story and reporting the news and getting it out there? Because you've done that for a lot of years.
You just have to. Kathy Clark was my news director at the time, and she taught me the way that they expected the job to be done, and I did that. And we followed up. We called. We followed every lead. And we dug out the dirt, and then we sometimes had it double checked. Yeah. You know, somebody else do it just to make sure. And mistakes happen, and part of it has to do with, public safety and getting it right. The story that I always point to for that being the case. Well, we just went through the anniversary of the death of JFK, the assassination of JFK. Right. And the group that we used to work for, Susquehanna, they owned, I think it was KLIF, big station in Dallas, and huge resources. And a lot of their archive from that day of the assassination is available online. So I had a chance to listen to a lot of it. And I wouldn't, at least a third of it was wrong, at least. Yeah. And that wasn't because there was any conspiracy. It wasn't because, they were lazy.
They were stuff flying around at that point. Yeah.
Exactly. And people say things. Right. So to my point, I remember Pat McFadden. I'm trying to remember if he said this on the air or he told us this on background, but
9/11?
Yes, some things that were like happening that we might see, I think is what it was. Nothing he said happened. Nothing.
I can give you an example. Well, I think one of the things he talked about was possible attack on 3 Mile Island. With
that was one.
They were worried about that as a scenario. But I remember that day getting information because I was out at the fairground in our mobile studio on 9/11. And I was reporting on this as we were watching it on TV, but also as Kathy would break in, or someone else would break in, or Stu would come in. So one of the stories that came was, and get this, so now you have to sit there and decide, do I report on this? And I'm not a newsman. I'm more of the op-ed page, but I also take pride in making sure that we get it right.
Yeah, you don't want
and I don't want to be giving wrong information. Yes. And so one of the stories that came across to me at that particular point in time was that a plane had gone down Constitution Avenue in Washington, D.C. All right. Now, Constitution Avenue is the big avenue where the U.S. the archives and all those places are located. And I'm thinking, I don't know why, even in this crazy time we're looking at today, that doesn't sound right. I haven't seen that anywhere else. And so now do you report on that? Do you rush out there and put that out there, or do you hold back on that? And I held back on it. I sat there. There's just something. It didn't sound right. Didn't see anything anywhere else. Was trying to double check things at that moment, and where everything seemed to be happening minute by minute. And so you get that kind of thing. And so I think there's something that you just said a moment ago. You could willfully choose to derail the truth. If you do that, then you're probably not a very good newsman. Okay. Or you could make a mistake sometimes, which is possible.
Yes, it happens.
But you're still trying to check the whole way along and say, okay, I'm double sourcing this, triple sourcing this, doing everything I can do to get it right. And even then, and there was so much that day.
Well,
that was so phantasmic.
The number of planes, they kept kind of, I don't want to say getting the number wrong, but they were. And you only know this in hindsight.
Yeah.
That, the plane that was, I think that it was the plane headed to Chicago. Remember, there was that one point there was a plane headed to Chicago and they were worried about the Sears Tower or whatever it's called.
I do.
That was the plane that came back and dove into the ground. That was Flight 93. So,
right.
But we didn't know that at the time. And there was a lot of stuff happening at the same time. So, knowing that these people in that survey are teenagers,
right?
What do they know?
They weren't even around then.
They don't know anything. So it's okay that they guess
have the perception that they have.
That's it, and it doesn't really mean much to me. I mean, hopefully what will happen is they'll learn a little bit more about things and they will, get a better judgment on news.
Well, here was a piece that kind of goes to the very heart of what you're saying, Mark. It said in this article, and it was written on the AP, it said, to some degree, teens reflect the attitudes they're exposed to, particularly when the most prominent politician of their age has made fake news a mantra. Experts say few teens follow news regularly or learn in school about the purpose of journalism. Journalists don't help themselves with mistakes or ethical lapses. Some of those
That's
are taking
true.
place that make headlines. Opinionated reporters or commentators in an era of political division make readers wonder what to believe. And so those are all pitfalls that you have to kind of, make sure you sidestep as much as you humanly can. So just an interesting little thing this morning.
Yeah.
This hour brought to you by Heritage Hills. The Avalanche Express up at Heritage Hills, they're selling passes right now for as low as $59. And my special for you right now is very simple. If you go to avalancheexpress.com/Gary, for every season pass you buy, you get a $10 gift certificate to Noni's Table right there at Heritage Hills. Great place for breakfast and lunch, wonderful coffees, and a wonderful atmosphere. avalancheexpress.com/Gary. Check it out today. Coming back, Congressman Scott Perry from the 10th Congressional District joins us on a host of topics, all here on the Gary Sutton Show, where it is 7 o'clock.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station.
Wakey, 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 it's time for school.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
And it's a great day, and it's good to see you.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show. Hour number 2 here on the first day of December 2025. It is Cyber Monday, although some of the starch taken out of that by the $11.8 million, I guess, spent. Was $11.8 billion or a billion? Whatever. What's a billion among
I
friends?
would bet billion.
We'll go with billion. On Friday here in the country, and so up 9% from last year. So Cyber Monday, I guess any time could be Cyber whatever day. We got days all the time now. We had Small Business Saturday. I don't know what it was Sunday. Cyber Monday. Tomorrow is Giving, I don't know, whatever.
Yes.
Giving Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday, yes.
Yeah, so we got all
You
these
got
different days. Trying to keep up with it. I get up every day going, what am I supposed to do today? I'm like a little Pac-Man. Just show me what I have to do. I'll go do it. Okay, so there you go. Anyway, this hour, the whole show be brought to you by Barley Slater Attorneys at Law. You can check them out at barley.com, BARLEY.com. Here in York, they're at 100 East Market Street. Give them a call today at 717-846-8888. They are open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And this hour being brought to you by the Bison Farm, locally owned by Tupper and Tessa Verdick over at Mount Wolf. Have about 40 head of bison over there, by the way. Central Family Restaurant, Augie's both offer the bison burgers from their product. I bought some burgers there on Wednesday when I stopped by out at New Easter Market because they have a stand at New Easter Market and also at Central Market, and picked up some bison burgers. Mark, are they ever good?
So can you do Cyber Monday at the Bison Farm?
I think you can. You can go to bisonfarm.com. Yeah, and order their products. But you can buy their products. It's easier through the stands at the New Eastern Market on Friday and Central Market on Saturday. They carry a full range of products from ground bison and burgers to steaks and roasts. TheBisonFarm.com, the proud sponsors of this hour of the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. And we welcome in this hour Congressman Scott Perry from the 10th Congressional District on what is going on. And there's plenty of stuff that happened over the weekend. Good morning, Congressman, and then belated happy Thanksgiving to you.
Well, belated happy Thanksgiving to you, Gary. As you know, we all have a lot to be thankful for, but that doesn't mean the world is perfect. And so, we keep on striving, right? So there is a lot. There's a lot going on, and we're just going to keep working at it.
Couldn't agree with you more, Scott. It's absolutely true. And, we look at all the various things that are happening around us right now, and it's pretty darn amazing. And I wanted to kind of, start with this National Guard shooting in D.C. This past Wednesday, just before we went on vacation. This guy, Lachenwald, who was from Afghanistan, was one of the people fighting against the terrorists there, I guess, at one point in time, was allowed into the country here in 2021, lived with a family of 5 and 800 other families out in the Bellingham, Washington area, Washington State, and then drove to Washington, D.C., and shot 2 National Guardsmen from the West Virginia branch of the National Guard, one of them dying, the other one in critical condition. And, of course, it started the whole conversation about should we send people back who we've brought in here from other countries, from third world countries, as the president called it. Is it the fault of the Afghans who were brought in here? We get into all kinds of conversations. I'm sure you heard most of them or were asked about some of them. What were your thoughts about this whole thing? First of all, obviously a terrible tragedy.
Yeah, terrible tragedy. And, of course, all you can do, obviously, if you're not a caregiver, is pray for speedy recovery. And, of course, unfortunately, there was a loss of life here. The young lady who had served in uniform was murdered and didn't survive, and the young man is still clinging to life and hopefully improving. But look, I got to tell you, it's a common. You almost don't know what to say.
Right.
I'm enraged that this has happened. They were targeted because they were in uniform. This individual, we're still waiting to hear what kind of vetting he went through, because, as you know, a lot of the people that came here from Afghanistan were almost not vetted at all, and then once they step foot on American soil, it's like we can never do anything about it. And allegedly this individual worked with American forces, either in the clandestine forces or otherwise, and on our side. Well, I don't know how he did when he was there, but was this going to be one of those guys that shot up, the people he was working with in uniform in the back? Because that had happened in Afghanistan. We called it blue on blue violence, because these guys, they just live by a different code, and you're in their country, and is these the people that we want in our country? And you think about immigration kind of in general, and everybody wants to help. We all want to help, and we know there are countries that aren't, they're not a great place to live. But at some point, immigration, and I say at some point, but I really don't mean at some point, because I think it stands out as the number one priority. Immigration to the United States has to be good for the people of the United States.
Correct.
And like I said, we all want to help, but if we're bringing in people that are antithetical to our way of life and are going to do things like this, well, I'm not for that. And I think most Americans are saying, well, hold on a second here. We're paying for the police. We want the police to keep us safe. We got our own crime problems and violence problems. We certainly don't need to bring any. And so that's what's so infuriating about it. And, these people, one lost her life and the other one still, his life's going to be inexorably changed forever. And because this person allegedly was good for America. This person was not good for America, obviously.
Well, and I think the point you're making is so important, because, and in some cases, vetting some of these people is really hard. And I was talking to another show on Saturday on WBAL, and I said, to me, it seems like if we're not sure if someone should come here, then we ought to err on the side of caution and say, okay, if we can find more information on you and so forth, so be it. We'll do that later. But this idea of we're becoming a refugee camp for places, that's not what the country was set up for. The country was set up to absorb people, to naturalize people, to assimilate people, to bring people in of goodwill, and to assume that they wanted to be Americans. And if they came for some other reason, what are we doing? So we need to somehow find a way to vet it better. And I don't know what that is, but I think that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right about that. And I know it was in a rush because of what was happening at Afghanistan.
Right.
We had to get them out because the new government was going to do whatever it was going to do, include maybe kill these people.
Correct.
But I also want to say this, Gary. There are wars all around the world, and we're out of a lot of them, thank goodness, but there's still violence, political violence around the world. And if you take every person out that would fight for their own country, all that does is leave the tyrants in those countries. And I guess it's my way of saying these people, whether we help them or not, have to be willing to fight in their country for their beliefs and not just, continue to escape to this country, especially, as you said, when they just want to live in America. They don't want to live as Americans.
Congressman, there are a lot of people right now on another topic that are concerned. There was a report about Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, on these Venezuelan drug boats in the Caribbean and elsewhere, and that some of the people who they hit the drug boat and then some people were in the water. I guess there were two, and they killed them too. And then the president shutting down Venezuelan airspace, or indicating that it was closed. Are we getting into areas now, and I know there are a number of people in Congress, both Republican and Democrat, who are calling for investigations on this. What's your take on those two things, kind of tied together, but I guess they are actually separate pieces there?
Yeah, I know that President Trump had a call, I guess, over the weekend with the so-called leader. I think we consider him. Well, I certainly do.
Maduro.
I think the government, Maduro, the illegitimate leader of Venezuela. Talking about some options there, but I think we are getting close, and I think we're going to have to know what the line is, that if it's crossed, when it's crossed, so that we don't do that. But closer to military action, seemingly by the day. Now, of course, the Maduro is the alleged, and I guess the Trump administration has essentially charged him with being in the person leading or in charge of maybe the largest cartel on the planet,
right,
including running drugs into the United States of America at a record pace, but not limited to that. Violence and corrupting elections and all kinds of different things, not only in the United States but around the world, and has characterized them and named them a terrorist organization, which offers the president and through the Secretary of War certain provisions and latitudes. But I think we are pushing the edge on that thing now. They say, and I believe them, that these are known. They have the intelligence. These are known targets that are not innocents. They are involved in the drug smuggling trade to America, and with the terrorist designation that gives them the ability in international waters to interdict that the way that they are. But I think as the conversation continues and the situation escalates, there's going to be more discussion about it. But I would also say this. We lose about 100,000 Americans to this illicit drug trade, which is, the numbers from Vietnam and different armed conflicts. It's outrageous. It's unacceptable. And you can't have another country that just continues to profit and kill your citizens and do nothing about it. And I think in any other context, it would be seen as a declaration of war. But in this society, we have learned to just accept that people are going to be killed by overdosing on illegal drugs sent from other countries. And I don't know why we have come to accept that, but this president has said it's unacceptable. I agree with him. It is unacceptable. And this is a rogue nation with an illegitimate leader that is somehow just been able to prey on American citizens without recourse and with impunity. And the president has said he's had enough of it, and we're going to do something to stop it. And that's what he's doing to stop it, is to make sure that the drugs never make it to the United States of America from that country through those means. And he's talking about changing it even on the ground. So that's the difference, I think, when we say it's escalating, we're going to have a conversation about it.
Congressman, we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, I want to talk to you also about, and kind of tied to this, the idea, are we becoming colonialistic? In other words, are we starting to come in on top of other countries? How would it appear to other countries? It's a really tricky place that we're going right now. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about Congress involvement here and any kind of hearings, and also a little bit about what happened the other week with reopening the government and your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah.
Congressman Scott Perry with us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show. We'll be back with more from him right after this. It is 7:18.
Fox Sports Update.
Washington for the win. Mariota has it rejected by Benito. And Denver has won 9 in a row.
On NBC Sunday Night Football in Landover, Maryland, the Denver Broncos outlasted the Commanders in overtime 27-26. 9 consecutive wins for the Broncos. Denver's record is now 10-3, tied with New England for the best record of the NFL. The Patriots play tonight after Jake Moody forced overtime for Washington with a 32-yard field goal as time expired in regulation. The Broncos took the lead in OT when R.J. Harvey ran for a 5-yard touchdown. Washington then needed a TD and an extra point to tie the score at 27. The Commanders got a 3-yard touchdown pass from Marcus Mariota to Terry McLaurin with 2:47 left in overtime. Then Washington went for the win. Instead of trying for an extra point to tie the score, Nick Benito swatted away a pass attempt from Mariota, and the Broncos got the victory 27-26. 9 wins in a row for Denver. 9 straight as well for the Patriots, who wrap up week number 13 tonight at home against the Giants. This was the first time since week 4 every NFL team was scheduled. No byes this week. A rough Sunday for first-place teams. The Colts lost their second game in a row, dropped to 8-4, now tied for first in the AFC South with the Jaguars. The Rams' 6-game win streak snapped by the Panthers, 31-28. Los Angeles now 9-3, same record as Seattle. College football, Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss to become the new head coach at LSU. Kiffin will not coach the Rebels in the college football playoff. Former Northwestern coach Pat Fitzgerald returning to the sidelines. Michigan State, which fired head coach Jonathan Smith Sunday, is reportedly going to hire Pat Fitzgerald to take over the Spartans, according to The Athletic. You can download the Fox Sports Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. I'm Jared Max.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK with Congressman Scott Perry from the 10th Congressional District. And Congressman, you know, we're in kind of an interesting situation because we have a country here where we have a president, this Nicolas Maduro, who may well be in charge of some of the biggest drug trade ever. And yet at the same time, they are a country. And so for a lot of people, we're sitting here going, okay, when the president closes the airspace or says the airspace is closed, and a lot of people are a little uncomfortable with that because it kind of, the word colonialistic comes up to play here. And I don't think that's necessarily where the president wants to go. And yet at the same time, that's the perception that people have. How do you address that? What does Congress need to do in that regard? What does the president need to do in that regard in selling the idea that, hey, we're trying to stop the shipment of drugs in our country, which is obviously of paramount concern to us, and yet at the same time, it's another country that has separate rights. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a sovereign country, and I think it's look, I don't see it at all as colonialistic. I do see it as a police action, potentially a war action. I think that's where the discussion really needs to be and really where it needs to go. What is authorized under the Constitution, and is it potentially going too far? Has it gone too far? I think that's a reasonable discussion.
Because only Congress can declare war, and the president can do police action types things. So, yeah.
Exactly. But colonialism, to me, is essentially taking over the country and instilling your values. Now, you know, as usual, the people that are decrying colonialism, they only deride colonialism by Western powers, but they never have a problem with colonialism by others. And I'm going to cite one specifically, is Islamist colonialism, which is happening around the globe and is now occurring in the United States of America. So I think there not only, first of all, there's a valid conversation about the airspace, Venezuela, and the presidential powers in that regard, law enforcement, police action, war powers kind of stuff. But there's a separate conversation about colonialism. But I don't think in this case the two are relevant, and I think it's just used as a political moniker to deride the president's action because they don't agree with him or they don't like him or what have you. But they have always been against the so-called colonialism by Western countries, especially European and America, and they're using that in this context because it's seen as a derogatory term, but it's being used improperly, in my opinion. And I'm going to make the case that it's only for political purposes.
We're coming out of the government having that long shutdown. getting back up and running again, and yet, for 3 months, and then are we back to the same thing again? What's the fallout from that? What's your take from what has come out of that and looking back on it now? Your thoughts on that, Scott?
Well, it was all unnecessary. It was very frustrating, obviously. We shouldn't be having to go through that. And Gary, you and I have been having this conversation for a long time.
Right.
Congress needs to recognize, I keep saying at some point, and I don't know what that point is because it's long overdue to me, that the current system that we have, which hasn't really worked in earnest since 1996, it needs to be changed, or we're going to keep on running into these fiscal cliffs and shutdowns and continuing resolutions, all this because we simply don't agree on how we spend America's tax money, and it's led to $38 trillion in debt and all these stops and starts, which are bad for people, the economy, predictability in business, all that kind of stuff. Now, I say all that. We've offered solutions. They haven't been widely accepted. We keep on doing the same things, and I suspect at the end of January we're going to be at one of these impasse circumstances again. And I think that members of Congress on both sides of the aisle better start preparing for that. And my solution would be, if that's coming, that we have to have a reconciliation pathway and package ready to go so that we avoid that. Now, that's my solution. There might be some other ones, and I'm happy and willing to entertain them, but I think we better be prepared for it, and because I think the American people, quite honestly, are just absolutely sick of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I think at this point, one of the things, though, the Democrats had asked for, moving these subsidies forward that they got back in 2021 during COVID, and, of course, the Congress did not do that. And so we argued over all that period of time and then walked away with essentially the same thing. But the one thing that I think people do want right now is they want to have lower prices. They want to have a drug care system or a health care system that's going to work. And it seems like one of the things that I fault Republicans on, in a sense, is they've got a lot of good ideas, and yet they haven't put them all together into one program where you say, okay, here it is, juxtaposed to the Affordable Care Act, which obviously is not affordable, without propping these up. You have to have something to be able to talk about. Your thoughts on that? Final thought today.
Yeah, we do. Look, there are, like you said, we have all the pieces of it. I don't know I kind of do know what the reluctance is because we get creamed on these ideas in the past by Obama, so there's a reluctance to do it. And, of course, there'll be criticism of it, and you got to be able to understand and withstand the withering criticism that comes from whatever your plan is. But as you said, the Affordable Care Act, as we said 15 years ago, is not affordable. People are paying outrageous rates for insurance. 7% of the population is on Obamacare. The rest of the population, 93%, pays for that. Profits for insurance companies are well up over 1,000% since this whole thing happened. And I think that there's a sweet spot where we can accommodate an off-ramp at the same time infusing free market principles. And so that's part of the plan that we need to talk about. The ability to buy insurance from anywhere, including across state lines.
Right.
So, incentivizing healthcare association plans through tax policies and allowing physicians to own hospitals and stopping this vertical integration of hospital, insurance, pharmacy, all that stuff. That's available. We actually have that kind of stuff, and I think the Republican Party, the time is right. We need to put it into, put it together and start going out and telling the American people what we have to offer and then have a vote on this because the prices, Gary, as you probably know, these prices that they're talking about, they were going up anyhow. The insurance companies were raising the price anyhow. They're just using this opportunity to blame it on the government. They were going up because they keep going up as they have for the past 15 years. So Republicans need to get their act in gear, and that's what I've said. Let's put it on the table, and let's start moving the ball so that we can have some free market and some competition, which we know always drives the price down. Obamacare was not about health care. Obamacare was about insurance. And you remember the individual mandate. They required everybody to buy insurance, and that was stripped out. And of course, the whole thing has continued to devolved since that point. But you're absolutely right. The Republican Party needs to get in gear and offer this alternative or some portions of it and start down the road to saving Americans from this huge bill that they can't afford every month, every quarter, every year, bigger than their mortgages often.
Where you have a fair comparison and you have a competition out there. Hey, Congressman, always good to have you aboard. Now, we're not going to talk to you again until the new year, but a very Merry Christmas to you and your family. Happy holiday season, and a very, hopefully, a very prosperous new year for you. And continue to appreciate your service here in the Congress. Thank you so much, my friend.
You're absolutely right about that, Gary. Won't talk, but all the same to you and your listeners. God bless you. Thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
Thank you so much. Congressman Scott Berry with us here on the Gary Sutton Show this hour, brought to you by the Bison Farm, right there from Mount Wolf. Tupper and Tessa Verdict are putting out that bison meat. And I'll tell you what, Central Family Restaurant, Augie's both offer bison burgers from their product. You can buy their products through the market stands at New Eastern Market and Central Market. They carry a full range of products from ground bison and burgers to steaks, roasts, and even the bison brisket. TheBisonFarm.com. Check it out today. We take a break. We come back. Kevin Smith, Kindness Worldwide, right around the corner here on the Gary Sutton Show at 7:35. No, that is not Mark holding the microphone to his heart.
Yeah, you rarely hear that beginning.
Yeah, I've hardly ever heard it.
Yeah, so I thought I'd throw it in just for something different.
I'll tell you what I have heard. I've heard that Harvey's Rental has the most to rent under one roof. And I know that's true because they've been around since 1970. But you can call them today at 717-850-8999. One of the things you might be doing is cleaning up the sticks outside at your house. And, you know, you're blowing the leaves away, the leaves that are still left. And you're doing all those kind of things. And you're doing them with equipment. And you say, geez, this equipment's not that good. How about steel equipment? STIHL. Harvey's Rental is a steel elite dealer. And that means they are an authorized independent steel sales and service center for over 40 years. You could stop in and visit for all your steel power equipment needs. Things like slicers and seeders and self-propelled vehicles there, log splitters, chippers. You've got blowers, backpack, aerators, all that kind of stuff. But you also have party supplies. This is party time, right? With Christmas coming up. We just had Thanksgiving. You got New Year's ahead. Maybe you're getting ready for those party needs. Or maybe you like to, you're a contractor and you need some equipment out there to work on a road or some kind of project. They've got all the items you need for contractors there. Garden and yard stuff, air tools, they've got it all. Harvey's Rental has the most to rent under one roof. Why don't you give them a call today? It's 717-850-8999. They're located at 1409 South George Street right here in York. And Jen Harvey and all the great people down there are waiting for you. They're open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., so they're open right now. They're closed on Saturday and Sunday. Harvey's Rental, the most to rent under one roof. Tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you today. Or give them a call at 717-850-8999 or go to harveysrental.com. WOYK News Time, 7:38. In with Kevin Smith this morning of Kindness Worldwide, our good friend. Good morning, Kev. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Gary, and happy belated Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too. How was your Thanksgiving? You have a good time?
It was wonderful. Spending the holiday with friends and family. It's my wife's favorite holiday. Just great conversation, great company. A little bit too much pumpkin pie. I'm not sure the calories were too kind, but it was a wonderful holiday. Thank you.
You know, I was amazed as I was thinking about it over the holidays. And I came across in one day, and I get up every day. I admittedly, one of these people looks for opportunity every day. I do not look at the negative part of the day. I'm aware of them, but I get up and I'm in my religion, I thank God for what's coming up today in terms of opportunities and problems, because I think you need both. But then, you know, I say, please let me be acutely aware of opportunities that come up. So I walk out my front door to get in my car on, I guess it was on Friday or Wednesday. Friday it was, because I'm going out on Friday to do a little shopping and so forth. And the garbage guys are out there emptying the garbage. And the one guy came across and we started chatting a little bit. And he was very friendly and said, hey, you know, it's busy out there today. We're a little late getting to things. He said, I had a little too much apple pie yesterday. And, you know, so we're chatting. And, you know, it's funny how you have opportunities in front of you to be kind or go the extra mile. And I continue to think about, you always talk about going the extra mile to thank the girl for returning your wallet. And I got in my car and said, and something drove me. And I drove down the end of the street and they were turning the truck around to come up the other side. I said, hey. And I put $48 out there and I said, why don't you guys have lunch with me today? There were 3 guys in the truck. And they said, you serious? I said, yeah. Why? I said, you're doing a great job, man. I said, you guys do a great job every week, and just to say thank you. So then I drive down, and I go down to the Eastern Market. And I'm in line. And actually, before I got there, there's a lady, as I get off on the Belmont Street, who's there, who was looking for money. And she looked really down on her luck. And I've seen her there before, and I've given her something before, but I stopped by and gave her a $20 bill. I said, listen, hope you have a good holiday season. She said, thank you so much. God bless you. I said, God bless you. And and then I get down to the market and I'm in line. There weren't a lot of people in the market on Friday because it was open on Thursday. So a lot of places weren't open, but there was one place open that was the Bison Farm. I stopped by to see Tupper Verdict and I got an energy drink from him. And then I said, well, I need something to go with that. And there was a pretzel place. They make these soft pretzels, and I never stopped there. So I stopped in. I'm in line behind this lady, and I'm waiting and just kind of taking it in the market, which I love to do. And this lady reaches into her wallet, and she says, oh, gosh. And I see her. She said, do you guys take credit cards? And the lady said, yeah, we do. So she goes to get her credit card. Oh, my gosh, credit card's not there either. And the lady's already handed her a pretzel, and she said, I guess I'll have to put it back. I don't have it. And she starts to take the pretzel. I said, take care of it. I said, and the lady turned and said, are you sure? And I said, yeah. I says, no big deal. I said, she said, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And she took a pretzel and started eating, walked down the way. And obviously just one of those days where she had forgotten something in her wallet. And so I guess my point is not that I did it. The point is that we are presented with great opportunities all the time, Kev, to be kind.
Well, kindness is a mindset. It's a way of life. It's a habit. It becomes, just being aware. And, there's this adage about random acts of kindness. And I would argue that it's not about random acts of kindness. It's random opportunities for kindness. And so you just identified a number of situations. You were mindful. You were seeing the good. You were kind of on high alert, if you will.
I'm blaming you, by the way. I used to be like that, but I'm much more acute now, being around you now for the last year. I'm kidding you when I say that,
well,
of course.
But that's it. But that's really the goal, is for everyone to be acutely aware of the choices we can make, the power we possess, to find those random opportunities to make someone else's day, but also make our own. And there's a whole science behind this. I'm in the midst of reading a wonderful book called The Wonder Drug.
Yeah.
And you can imagine what that wonder drug is. It's kindness. And it's all about kindness and compassion. It was written by some medical doctors in the healthcare industry, number of scientific studies. But when not only do we practice kindness, but we observe kindness, there are chemical reactions in the body. Dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, serotonin. It reduces anxiety. It reduces stress. It reduces blood pressure. It has favorable impacts and health outcomes on our heart. And so if we warm our hearts, we actually live longer. I mean, I think there's so much information, scientific information about kindness, that if more people were aware of, it would not only change lives, it would save lives. It's that powerful. And so one of the things I hope to do with, whatever platform I have, is to get this word out there, to let people know that kindness is not just a good thing to do. It certainly is, but it is a healthy, wise thing to do for mental illness, for physical health. And there's so much powerful information out there. We just need to share it more frequently.
I'm reminded of the two kids that are in two different barns of horse manure. And the one kid's sitting there in this barn of horse manure, and he says, I'm in a barn of horse manure. This is horrible. This stinks. And the other kid's digging down and says, there's got to be a pony down here somewhere. You're thinking of those two mentalities, a little graphic there, but two mentalities. And, you can choose one or you could choose the other. And I choose the latter one because that's just the way I look at life. Now, does that mean you are not aware, that you're naive to the problems of the world? No. In fact, just the opposite. You want to do something about them. You want to find a way to get at some of those, but you do so from your own corner of the world instead of, as you had talked about so many times before, complaining about it or saying, "Oh, the world's going to hell in a handbasket." Geez, and tomorrow I'm going to complain about the world going to hell in a handbasket again. Instead of saying, what can I do today? What are the little tiny things that, I think my point earlier was we neglect those sometimes as people, self-included, because we're running so fast or whatever. We don't see those. And if we stop to see those, we find life. I've heard great athletes say when they're playing the game well, the game slows down. Well, if we're living life well, it seems like life slows down and we say, I got time for you. I got time to savor this moment. I got time to thank you. I've got time to, life slows down a little for us at that point, I think. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it really does. I think it's a matter of being in the moment. Look, we're in a fast-paced world, and it seems like it's getting more fast-paced and more hectic, a lot of noise, a lot of distractions. But, just being mindful and being aware of the lens that we see the world. And there's often a difference between our perception and reality. And, we can look at the world through a lens or a glass that's largely half full or one that's half empty. And I choose to see the world through one that's half full. And I'm not, prima donna about it. I know there's a lot of bad things that happen and occur, but I'm not going to let that define me. I'm not going to let that ruin my day. The attitude is a choice. I choose every day to have a good day just by my mindset. When bad things inevitably happen, that's just life. I try to process it in a way to, learn from things but be really aware of the gift we have in every day, and everyone has a story as well. And, when we have these random encounters, we never know where someone is at a particular point in time. And if there's a chance to make someone else's day with a simple smile or hello or a random opportunity for kindness that you described earlier, that's a win-win. It certainly is a win for those who are the beneficiary of kindness, but it's a win for ourselves with all those the positive outcomes that I just described earlier. It's just being mindful and being in the moment of every day.
There's a movie called Scrooged with Bill Murray. And one of the things that he talks about in that movie, that comes up in that movie, is we're a little kinder, we're a little nicer to people this time of season. When we come back, I want to ask you why. Why is this time of year brings out the very best of us, and why can't we adapt that to the 365? I just want to get your take on that when we come back. Kevin Smith, Kindness Worldwide. He's the chief kindness chaser, and he's chasing it down pretty well right now and giving us some ideas. He's already infected me so badly this year. I'm kidding when I say it. He knows it. But it's when you're thinking about kindness all the time, it changes your whole mindset. We'll talk more with Kevin about that when we come back and why we're so nice this time of year when we're moving up on the holiday season and Christmas in particular. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it is 747.
friend. Don't look to a stranger.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. All brought to you by the Bison Farm this hour. Mark McKenzie's over here dancing. Who's this coming back, by the way? Yeah.
I guess I should turn it on. There we go.
Yeah.
That is The Promise by When in Rome. Excuse me, one hit wonder. We're doing 1989 all week.
Yeah. Did not
so
like
we
that
went
song.
way back.
Yeah, I didn't like that song.
Before you were in radio.
Did I mention I didn't like that song?
You didn't like it?
I didn't. No, it's just boring. It was like, you play so much good music, but you have to throw these in every now and then.
It's all to
just to let people know my short list.
That's exactly right.
And my lack of tolerance.
So that's another reason.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
I am not kind on some of these. I
It's okay.
admit it.
I can take
But
it.
we're back with a guy who is kind all the time, Kevin Smith, who is the chief kindness chaser for Kindness Worldwide, which he started. So, Kevin, I remember in this movie Screws, they talk about we say hello to people a little bit more. We thank people a little bit more. We hold the door for people a little bit more. We do nice things for people. We're a little kinder to people during this time of year. Why is it this time of year that we do that? And we do it. We also hear some pretty heinous things going on, like the shooting out in the West and 4 people being killed up to age of 21 over the weekend. We see a lot of that too. But we do see a lot more people being kind to each other at this time of year. And the question comes up, why can't we bottle this for the year round? Why aren't we kind year round instead of this idea that we're at each other's throats sometimes? I don't think it's as much as people would portray. And yet at the same time, it seems like we are on steroids here at this time of year with kindness. Your thoughts?
Well, the goal and the vision of Kindness Worldwide is to create a culture of kindness in communities throughout the year or throughout the world all year round.
Right.
Obviously, Kindness Week Worldwide is meaningful 8 days every year. We concentrate behaviors and activities in the spirit of kindness that we hope will continue beyond just that meaningful week. But Kindness Week Worldwide is really a precursor leading to an entire season of kindness, if you will. Beginning of Thanksgiving, time of gratitude, which is one of the 8 characteristics of kindness, and then you go into, the Christmas season, and it's almost like you're bringing together at one time a number of holidays and events and time of year, seasonality, like a festive. Everyone, when people are joyful and they're in the spirit of the season, so to speak, they're going to be maybe more mindful of doing good things and how we treat others. And but it shouldn't just be a certain number of weeks in the year. It should be the entire year. It should be something that we just develop habits and behaviors and are mindful of day to day. And that's really what I hope over time we can achieve with this movement, if you will, is just for everyone to realize the power we possess to be in every moment, not be defined by moments, but really to be in the moment, be the best versions of ourselves. It's a choice. We have a lot more power than we realize to be the change we wish for.
Yeah.
And if we can do it certain times of the year, there's no reason we can't do it throughout the year. But it really is about developing mindful habits and behaviors.
One of the things I find that a lot of people get very nostalgic this time of year, and they think back, and they generally think back to some of the good things, to family, to when they were younger, and some of the things that they did with their family, and many of whom those family members aren't here anymore. I think about that with my mom, my dad, my brother, and who are no longer here with us. And so we tend to go back to that. And as we go back to that, maybe we're searching for what we thought was an easier, a simpler, and maybe even a better kind of life, which obviously would include kindness in there. And your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, well, and the holidays are often a time to reflect, especially Thanksgiving, and there's a lot of empty seats at the table, unfortunately, from loved ones that have since passed. And I've said many times, God's angels are everywhere, and we certainly feel their presence. I know I do, and my life has been defined by a number of angels in my life. Many of them are no longer with me, but some that are still here. I mean, we all have the opportunity to be an angel to someone, and in their time of need. But I think in many cases I reflect back on my upbringing, my childhood. I was blessed to have a wonderful mother, a wonderful family, and friends. But we can all be a friend to someone. Not everyone has that luxury, so to speak. Not everyone comes from that same upbringing that I was blessed to have. But we can still be a family to them, so to speak. We can be a brother. We can be a sister. Doesn't have to necessarily have to be a blood relative, but we can still be that someone, be that angel, be that brother or sister to someone in their time of need. And that's how we extend our families, so to speak. And so I'm just very mindful and very grateful, very blessed, like we all can be. I mean, we all have troubles. We all go through adversity. But mindset is everything. And just the fact that every day, we're in is a gift. And you appreciate that more, I think, as we get older. I know I certainly do. But life goes by fast. And sometimes, as Ferris Bueller says, sometimes you need to step back and enjoy it once in a while, or you just might miss it.
I heard a story yesterday about a guy who was homeless. And this guy was telling the story. He says, I was a little down. I'm not feeling really good about things right now. I'm having a tough time. And he said, this guy comes up to me and he says, here, would you like a bag? And this was on Thanksgiving. He said, would you like a bag of turkey? And I've got sweet potatoes here, and I've got some stuffing here. And he said, people have given these to me. He said, I can't use them all. He said, I'd like to give it to you. And the guy was telling this story yesterday, who's having a tough time, said, I was just struck by how happy this guy was. Guy was like happy. He was homeless, but he's happy. He's joyful. And so a lot of times we think about that too. Our economic state is not the only thing that makes for happiness. There's a lot more to it. And here he was doing a kind act of handing this guy something. The guy would have had nothing for Thanksgiving. And so he handed him this turkey, and that he had a number of bags there on his bike. And again, keep in mind the guy was homeless himself that was giving this away. So pretty impressive stuff that we see out there from some of the most unlikely places sometimes.
Happiness is a state of mind, and sometimes we assume certain things that bring happiness. For example, the adage, money can't buy happiness. It is very true. I see all the time there are people who you think should have every reason to be happy. They have the nice homes. They have the nice cars.
Right.
And yet you see people that you think they have very little. And yet they are so happy, so full of life. And I would argue, one of my favorite quotes is Henry David Thoreau, and his quote is, wealth is ability to fully experience life.
Wow.
And there are many people who live life fully every day. I would argue are far more wealthier than those you think have a lot of means, but maybe look at the world through a lens that should be half full when largely it's half empty.
Kevin, great stuff this morning. Looking forward to talking to you on Friday, my friend.
Looking forward to it, Gary. You have a great week. We'll see you on Friday.
Check out kindnessworldwide.org, everyone, and take a look at all the wonderful ideas in there. This hour being brought to you by the Bison Farm. Check out Central Family Restaurant and Augie's. They both offer bison burgers, but you can buy those bison burgers as well as steaks, roasts, the bison brisket, all right there at the Bison Farm at the Central Market. And all that's on Saturdays. And on Fridays, out at the New Easter Market, they have stands in both places. So check them out right now at thebisonfarm.com. Proud sponsor of this hour of the Gary Sutton Show right here on WOYK. When we come back, we'll check in with Major Joe Decree about the military and how they are doing some things with the Venezuelan drug dealers. And how far do you go before you declare war? That's a big question. And Mark Hendrickson won a lot having to do with the Penn State group over the weekend and some of these coaching changes going on. Mark will take a look at that. He's a former NBA player and Major League pitcher. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. But first, we have a news update. It is 8 o'clock.
This is York's only local show on York's only local station.
Wakey, 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 wakey. It's time for school.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Listen to your show every day. It's really good.
I have you guys on every morning to wake up to.
Gary Sutton, mornings 6 to 9 on Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK.
All the things you're talking about are all the things we're talking about. It's Main Street America every day.
And you're getting your money's worth.
You're a brilliant mind, tremendous experience. You're great for the community.
The Gary Sutton Show on York's first station, WOYK.
And it's a great day, and it's good to see you.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK, where it is 8:05 on a Monday morning, the first day of December 2025. Hope all of you had a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend, Thanksgiving vacation, whatever. Maybe you're still enjoying that. I guess it started hunting season today. That's another big day for us out there. It's Cyber Monday. It's, just a great day. All brought to you here by Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law. Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law, over 130 plus attorneys in the state of Pennsylvania and Maryland, doing right by you as an individual, as a company, in all areas of civil law, 29 of them, in fact, from banking and business to creditors' rights to healthcare to ESOPs to trust and estates to tax, senior living, intellectual property and patents, immigration, higher education, municipal authority. And I'd say more, but I ran out of breath. 29 different areas that they can help you in. And when you make one call, like you do here in York at 717-846-8888, you actually sign on to a regional approach. And that means a whole lot of different emphases, if you will, by these attorneys in those 29 different areas. So they're ready to help you. So one call, and you're going to have access to all of their expertise. And they have great relationships with their clients, and they have a reputation for this, getting results. That's what Barley Snyder has been doing for a long time. They're the gold standard here for law practice when it comes to business kind of law here. And you give them a call every day at 717-846-8888. They're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And they're right here at 100 East Market Street in York, just one of a number of great locations. Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law, proud sponsors of this show here on WOYK. And this hour brought to you by Pappy's Q. Pappy's Q is this restaurant I have come across, the best barbecue I've ever had. They're located at 35 North Main Street in Jacobus, right across the street from Smith Village, right behind Rutter's there in that little strip mall. Very cozy little place, but I'll tell you what, they putting out big food. Big food. Yeah. You can call them at 717-347-7062. You can go to pappysq.com and check them out, or check them out on Facebook at Pappy's Q. That's PAPPY''SQ. And check out their hours and so forth. Normally, they're open 4 to 8 on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And then Saturdays 10 to 7, Sundays 10 to 8. I believe they're closed today because Pappy's actually out hunting today. All right. But they'll be back in on Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And I'm telling you what, ladies and gentlemen, you want to have great food, from seafood, like all you can eat platters down there, to ribs and crab legs, to wings, to pulled pork, to brisket, to ribs, you name it. They've got it right there at Pappy's Q. And if they don't have it, they'll make an effort to make it for you. All right. Even if you like, alligator bites, they've got those as well. Pappy's Q. And my new favorite place for barbecue, it's the only place I go right now. And my wife and I were down there again the other night. We had some of the best pork barbecue, Mark, you've ever had. And we tried some of the different sauces. Pappy was bringing those out and explaining the sauces to us. And they had like 4 that were really, really good, including one that had like a raspberry in it, and it was really good. Raspberry and chipotle. Try that combination. Raspberry and chipotle. So there you go. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. We bring in Major Joe Decree, retired now from Montana, former a veteran of Kosovo, Afghanistan, Iraq, has served in intelligence at Quantico, has taught ROTC, has worked in other areas, and now is a pastor of a church where they talk the language of veterans in that church. And he's with us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show. Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How was Thanksgiving?
Well, we're doing really well. Great to have you aboard, man. Yeah, it's a good day. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I really did. Yeah, we went to San Antonio, saw my youngest and her daughter, so it was a good time.
Well, that's pretty cool. But you know, you look at things going on right now, and you know, I wanted to ask you, you know, as a guy who has had to represent the United States in a number of different theaters of action, we're watching this stuff going on in Venezuela right now. And, you know, we're hearing about the Venezuelan gunboats, and now Pete Hegseth, who's the Secretary of Defense, is there are questions about how he's going about this, that they're, you know, shooting down the gunboats, and then they're going after people who are in the water and killing them off if they didn't get them the first time. And I'm just, how does that hit you as a veteran? I mean, we're looking at the world through the eyes of a vet here in this segment. So talk to me a little bit about how you view that.
I don't have any problem with the action in international water.
Okay.
I really don't. You know, I think the intel's probably pretty good. I think, you know, the cartels didn't adapt very fast. I was really surprised at that. You know, after the first couple, they kept just trying to do it. So here's my wonder there is how many boats are getting through that we're not getting. That's something I'm just curious about. The international water incidents don't bother me. You know, when the president says we're going to shut down Venezuelan airspace, all right, I don't know what the intel is.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of international conventions about dealing with what we call supranational organizations. So like Hamas, you know, organizations that sort of transcend boundaries. They're not countries, but they act like countries.
Right.
So, some of the drug cartels are that big. Hamas is that, what was, probably not now that Iran is trying to relocate its capital and trying to figure out if it's ever going to have another centrifuge.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Now, if Venezuela is actively aiding and abetting the cartels with the intent of, destroying or harming the United States, that's not a real act of war, but I think it gives us some call to do some things there. We've had a pretty good relationship with Venezuela until very recently, and they would help us in the drug game. I've served with some Venezuelan troops, not in big numbers, but here and there in international things. Kind of liked them,
right?
But this president has not done a good job in these matters of putting out the info.
Yeah.
Now, again, no problem with shooting drug boats, and I don't care if the guys are in the water. Hey, well, they should have, like I said, they're running a non-flagged boat. They're evading. All they have to do is stop, put their hands up, and if there's nothing happening, will they be arrested? Yep. And if there's nothing going on, will they be sent back to Venezuela? Yep.
Yeah.
So, that's easy. Their intention is obvious. Having said that,
yeah.
I don't know what the info is. I don't know what the intelligence is about Venezuela. I know that, the current president doesn't like us.
Right.
Well, that's not grounds for anything.
No,
on the other hand, we have had a problem ever since we've had a country of people trying to infiltrate the United States through the southern border. The people that say, well, immigration is not really a problem, don't read history. This has always been a problem. The Islamic terrorists have done it. The Germans tried it in World War I, if you recall. They were trying to get cozy with the Mexicans. Let's see. There have been other attempts, ever since James Monroe, President James Monroe, was actually pretty foresighted in the, hey, England, you need to stay out of the Western Hemisphere. And I think that's probably why he said it. It's been a while since I've read that history, but it makes great sense. On the other hand, now that things have changed and, those governments are what they are and they have their own militaries and things like that, they didn't used to way back in the day. It makes things a little more complex. Are we the benevolent big brother that guards the Western Hemisphere? We certainly need to guard our own southern border.
Monroe Doctrine and all that
stuff,
yeah.
Right. how do we do that? Okay. And then there's this drug thing, which we have had a problem with for a very long time, and we have a love-hate relationship with drugs.
Right.
On the other hand, at the later stage, probably the mid stages of the Industrial Revolution, the number of drugs in everyday products, was pretty impressive. Coca-Cola, for example, is the biggest one.
You mentioned you mentioned about Maduro, and here's a guy the president say, well, he's responsible for a whole lot of drugs coming in. And then on Friday, the president comes out and says, but I'm going to pardon former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, who in 2024 was convicted in New York for drug trafficking and weapons charges and sentenced to 45 years in prison. And so the president explains his decision on social media by posting that, quote, according to many people that I greatly respect, Hernandez was treated harshly and unfairly. Well, in March of last year, this Hernandez guy, who was the head of Honduras, was convicted in the U.S. court of conspiring to import cocaine in the United States. He had served 2 terms as the leader of the Central American nation of roughly 10 million people. He's been appealing his conviction and serving time at the U.S. Penitentiary in Hazleton in West Virginia. So on one hand, you're saying we're going after this guy. His country is shipping drugs in. Here's a guy we caught who was, found guilty of that, and now we're going to pardon him. It sends mixed messages that are kind of weird to me. Is it weird to you?
No. He's got information he's been giving up. Or he's pledging help in the process. No, that's just an international deal.
Okay, so this guy...
Yeah, no, that doesn't bother me. That doesn't... I don't know that I like it.
Yeah.
I say it doesn't bother me. Okay, how about this? I understand it, and there's a certain amount of... It's good to not have a nice guy in the White House sometimes.
Yeah. So in other words,
we don't have a nice guy in the White House, but he's pretty upfront about that.
So what you're saying is this guy may well be giving up information on other drug deals and other people that'll lead to
or be able to assist us in something in Venezuela, because they're on the mule train. Where do these large groups of walking people have they been coming into the border from Honduras and Guatemala?
Right. Right.
Okay, so the drug train used to be just a mule train of we'll just walk it up through the southern border and we'll overwhelm Border Patrol there, and the Biden administration just kind of let it happen. Personally, I don't think Joe Biden really knew that much about it. I listened to Joe Biden over the years and never was a fan, but he wasn't a fan of that open border thing at any other time that in his political history. So that always made that's when I first thought, I don't think this guy's all there anymore. But I think, he probably has it. Because you're going to do this, the best way to do this is probably to crowdsource it. The problem with drugs is there's so much money.
I want to come back and pick up on that with you, okay? So just stay with me. I'm going to come right back here, and we'll jump on that a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about this idea of drugs coming to the country and how we're dealing with other countries right now. And what's the chance of getting a deal with Ukraine and Russia? Marco Rubio working on that right now, along with a couple other people. And are we getting closer? Is it possible to have peace there? We'll ask Joe about that. The world through the eyes of a veteran, Major Joe Dupree, retired now, with us next on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
than Christmas with the Griswolds.
Everybody come out quick, look at the lights!
They want you to say grace.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
This year, let Chevy Chase light up your holidays. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
That thing had 9 lives. She just spent them all.
You woo, crack up.
It was 36 years ago today, on this date, 1989, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation was released, and I think it was TBS aired it all weekend long.
Yeah, and it is a fun movie. I mean, I still enjoy watching. I still laugh, and I have all the lines memorized. But it's just really, really good. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my favorite line is in that movie, but Joe DeCree back with us, Major Joe DeCree now, World Through the Eyes of a Vet. Are you a Christmas Vacation fan, Joe, in the movies?
Oh, absolutely. It's usually the first Christmas movie I watch every year.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, in fact, I've already seen it.
Oh, a favorite line in it at all?
Oh, geez. Yeah, where Cousin Eddie is out dumping the chemical toilet in the sewer.
Right.
Anyway, I
got you.
It's funny, I know the movie line by line. I look at it every year. I laugh at the same parts every year, and I don't care.
By the way, are you sending out your Christmas letter this year? Are you going to pick up on that? You didn't yet last year. I
don't know. I haven't really felt a hankering to start writing that again. Why, you miss it? You want me doing?
I do miss it, but maybe a shortened version even would be fine. But Joe puts out a Christmas letter if you're new to this station, obviously, and it's always something that I look forward to every year, and it's written,
I mean, there's 28 of them. I can send them all to you. You can reread them.
We can put them all up on the I don't know if we can put them all up, but they're Anyway, but they were always fun to read. My wife would always read it first, and then I would sit down, and I'd always have to have like 2 or 3 hours where I could really just spend lingering over those things. But hey, I've got one for you, because you're out in the neck of the woods where people come to visit the national landmarks.
Oh, God, yeah, it's annoying.
Well, here you go. This is a brand new one from the Department of Interior. Came out over the weekend. Foreign visitors will soon have to pay extra to explore America's most popular national parks. According to the U.S. Department of the Interior, non-residents of the United States, in other words, foreigners, will have to pay $250 for an annual pass or $100 per person in addition to the standard entrance fee, $100 plus the standard entrance fee to enter certain national parks beginning January 1st of 2026. And parks like Yosemite and places like where you're at out there. It says, as part of the administration's commitment to enhancing access for American residents, the department is also implementing America First entry fee policies. U.S. residents will continue to enjoy affordable pricing, while non-residents will pay a higher rate to help support the care and maintenance of America's parks. A press release about the price increases read in part. Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum said the goal of raising prices for foreign tourists is to boost revenue for the parks and to have them pay their fair share. And so a pass would cost $80 for Americans to go in the parks around the country, will cost $250 for a foreigner. Now, I do know that prices are up a little bit around the world at various places, but nothing like this. And this would be like for
here's the problem in the national parks.
Yeah, Glacier
There's
National
so many
Park.
Foreigners. Yeah. Well, one of the problems in Glacier is there's only one road that goes through the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And it goes up and down mountains. So it's like, I mean, in some places, if you can do 20 miles an hour, you're doing great. We get so many visitors in Glacier. Honestly, during tourist season, I can't get in the park. Now you have to have a reservation. It's annoying. And so I can't get into the park that's 20 minutes from me.
Yeah.
During the height of tourist season. Yosemite, Glacier,
Grand Teton,
and Grand Tetons, are probably the biggest ones, and they get probably the most foreign visitors. And I'd up the price just to keep some of them out. And honestly, not that I don't want foreigners seeing it, just that it clogs the roads and Americans can't see it.
Huh. Interesting.
So I don't have a problem with it.
Wow.
And yeah, these roads are expensive. Like, honestly, during tourist season is also the only time in Glacier that you can do road construction. And if you look at going to, just pull up some pictures of going to the Sun Road. That's the name of the road. That was literally hewn out of the rocks going up to Logan Pass. And it's about a lane and a half wide for modern cars.
Wow.
And because it was originally done as a access for horses,
right?
And there were these old great Ford touring buses that were fabulous, but there weren't enough of them to worry about two-way traffic. So now you have all this. There's a large retaining wall that's several stories. That's a couple stories tall in some places because of the draws and other terrain features. And so the only time of year they can work on these things is during tourist season. And not only is it expensive to get crews in there because, they've got it's a national park, so you got to throw the bid open. I mean, the crew that works on going to the Sun Road here this summer may be from Georgia.
Wow.
And so it ties, and they need a place to stay. And there's limited places to stay in the park, really limited places to stay in the park. Cars have gotten bigger, tourists have gotten more and more, it's a pain in the neck.
Well, I guess the thing that jumps out at you is how stark the fee is. I mean, I've gone to other
the fair
countries.
share thing annoys me. It's not a fair share.
Yeah,
it's a limit the traffic.
Yeah, it's an unfair share. I mean, it really is an unfair share of things because they're saying to you. I'm just wondering what the message that it sends is. As we don't want people visiting our national monuments, and they have specific ones here. Most of them are all parks, and most of them are out in your neck of the woods: Yellowstone, Yosemite National Park, Yosemite National Park, Zion National Park, Glacier. We're talking about here, Grand Canyon National Park. So they're saying these are the places that we're going to really put a higher price on here to pay their fair share. And again, I don't think it's a fair share. I think it's something more than that. But it just
I think it's a limit to the road traffic thing.
Yeah.
Honestly,
but that's not the message that they're sending right now. What you just explained, it's not the message.
No, the message is you're not good enough to see this. Honestly, I could take or leave it. That part. Is the messaging good? No, it isn't.
Yeah.
So much of the messaging for this administration isn't good. Do I essentially have a problem with it? Not really.
From your standpoint, living there and saying it the way you did, I understand a little bit more about it. But again, that is, I wish people just say, here's the messaging. We don't have much room to come in, and so we're going to, who gets to come in? Well, members of the club get to come in first. A club called the United States of America.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I would also add additional fees for larger vehicles in Glacier Park because the road simply doesn't handle it well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not made for it, and, nobody's willing to widen that thing another lane. In fact, in some places you cannot. The engineering would be prohibitive.
Yeah.
And the destruction of habitat would be, we'd never allow it. So I would actually, anything above like a Ford Ranger or a Toyota Tacoma, I would charge an additional fee.
Yeah. Interesting
$15,
stuff.
$15 or $20, big car fee. And I would, the bigger your camper, the more I would charge by the foot for your camper. Because those campers tie up that road. It's ridiculous. Now, Glacier...
I'll have to end at that point because we're right at the end of our time, but
okay, buddy.
I think I got your point on that one, man. I appreciate it.
All right,
And I like it coming from someone who's sitting on the receiving end of that, too, so that's a good thing as well.
God, like I said, during tourist season, I can't get into the park.
Hey. I'll catch you next week, buddy.
Unless I want to, park somewhere and go off-road. Yep.
You
All
got
right,
it.
man.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. Have a great week. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. Bye.
Major Joe Decree here at the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. This hour being brought to you by Pappy's Q. That's exactly right. Pappy's Q, located at 35 North Main Street, right there in Jacobus, where they are ready for you right now. Pappy's Q has the best barbecue you're going to find anywhere, from ribs to combinations with, I had the other night, brisket and ribs with my wife, and we just enjoyed it. They have some of the best baked beans you've ever had, nice and thick. Oh, my gosh, they have all-you-can-eat specials down there. They have got it going on. at Pappy's Q, and they are ready to welcome you. Their normal hours during the week, and I think today they're actually closed because they're out hunting. Yeah. But they're at 35 North Main Street, right there in Jacobus, Pennsylvania, 717-347-7062. Call before you go down today. Their hours normally are 4 to 8 on Mondays, 4 to 8 Thursdays and Fridays. They're off Tuesday and Wednesday. And then Saturdays 10 to 7 and Sundays 10 to 8. They have breakfast all the way up to dinner on both those days as well. But if you want some of the best barbecue you've ever had in your life, and I wouldn't tell you that if I wasn't there doing it myself, Pappy's Q. They've also got all the wings you can eat one night for $20. Oh, yeah, incredible stuff. And the food is great. The portions are wonderful. And the whole atmosphere is very intimate and nice there at Pappy's Q. It's right inside that little shopette behind Rudders across the street from Smith Village. 35 North Main Street. Tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you to Pappy's Q. When we come back, we talk sports. Lane Kiffin is going to have a new job, and we're going to talk about that with Mark Hendrickson this morning. He's not going to coach the team. He coached all year long because he's heading off from Mississippi to LSU. What does Mark think about that? We'll get his thoughts next on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
place where you live. Now face think about direction, wonder why you have it now.
Welcome back to Gary Sutton Show here at WOYK. Do want to remind you that if you're looking for a new car right now, GMBalvopreowned.com is the place to go, or GMBalvo.com, and you will find an array of pre-owned cars that are absolutely maybe just a perfect fit for you, no matter what kind of car you want, whether it's a domestic or a SUV or whatever it might be. Jack Giambalvo has got it for you. And, of course, Jack Giambalvo has 50 years of just gold standard here in York County. Jack Giambalvo got it all started. John Giambalvo's carrying it on right now. And they've got some great things right now for you in terms of pre-owned cars. Of course, I bought a brand new car back there in February that I love. But maybe you're looking at the pre-owned market right now. They have free lifetime PA state inspections for you and anybody in your household if you buy a pre-owned car at Jack Giambalvo right now. They've got a 3-month, 3,000-mile warranty included on most pre-owned vehicles. Their vehicles go through a rigorous inspection to ensure that they are roadworthy. They want to make sure before they sell them, they reach that standard that Jack Giambalvo has come to expect over all the years. And 50-plus years of establishing trust, quality cars, and reliable service. That is what Jack Giambalvo is all about. That's what Jack Giambalvo Family of Dealerships is all about. And when you go in there to giambalvo.com right now, /used-inventory, you will find an array of cars, and they'll tell you what site you can go to find them in all the 6 sites here around York County of Jack Giambalvo Family of Dealerships. That's what they're doing for you. Why don't you find out about the Giambalvo difference today and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you to Jack Giambalvo Family of Dealerships. Check them out right now at giambalvo.com /used-inventory or go to Giambalvo preownedcars.com. Jack Giambalvo, the Family of Dealerships, the gold standard for York County. Tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you. WOYK News Time is 8:39 here on a Monday morning, and we welcome in Mark Hendrickson, former Major League pitcher, NBA basketball player, and he's with us here on WOYK. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. Great to have you aboard. And let the coaching carousel begin for college football. The biggest name, and again, brings up all kinds of wonderful questions that I can ask you about and exhaust your thought processes here on Monday morning. Lane Kiffin, who is the head coach at Ole Miss, maybe the hottest commodity in the country in terms of coaching right now. One loss, Ole Miss team, is about to become the coach at LSU. He took the job yesterday, taking over a program that has won national titles under 3 of its previous 4 coaches, while saying he would have stayed to coach the Rebels in the postseason had he been allowed to. He said, I was hoping to complete a historic 6-season run with this year's team by leading Ole Miss through the playoffs, capitalizing on the team's incredible success and their commitment to finish strong, he wrote in a social media post. He said Ole Miss athletic director Keith Carter denied that request, despite the team also asking him to allow me to keep coaching them so they could better maintain their high level of performance. That was turned down. He said, unfortunately, that means that this past Friday's game was my last game coaching the Rebels. Defense coordinator Pete Golding is going to succeed Kiffin. That'll be for a short time. You know, here we come again. And you and I have talked about some of this before, but you got a coach who's going to improve his situation, apparently. I'm sure he's going to get paid a ton of money by LSU. He is the hottest commodity in the country collegiately, I think, as far as a coach. What do you make of this? What are your thoughts that come up on this, and how unfair this maybe is to the team who's going to go into the playoffs now, one of the 12 teams making the playoffs? There's something wrong with this. Something smells about this.
I think you can have opinions about all angles on this one. And right or wrong, some of it has to do with the transfer portal and the scheduling, the windows of when these are allowed, because didn't, former Central High School Bo Perbilla have to make a decision and not play in the postseason as well? Those are difficult situations that, because of the scheduling and the way college football, has everything lined up, I don't fault Ole Miss for saying no. If you're going to take a different job, especially in the same conference with a rival school,
right,
then you're not going to represent our school moving forward. I can totally side with them.
Okay.
I can side with the players. They want to keep their coach. They want to keep their continuity. This is their one chance, and they have an opportunity to win national championship. And, the coach wanting to stay committed to his players to a point. So, you can argue either side and defend either side. I don't know if there's a clear-cut answer.
And then you got the coach who now steps in and says, if I don't get the work right away, I miss out on the portal. I miss out on certain signing periods. I miss out on all that kind of stuff, right? So if I'm going to have a team over there, and if I truly want to put my mark on there that I'm being hired to do, then I got to get to work on that. So it's this kind of colliding of all these different factors in one moment, right?
Well, and in the way that college football and the college landscape is, how many coaches is he taking with him? How many players potentially will move with him? I had a situation that was very similar when a coach, told me after my sophomore year he was taking the Oklahoma job. And I sat in the office with Kelvin Sampson and said, look, it was much different back then. Right. If I would have transferred, I would have to sit out a year. Mm-hmm. That weighs heavily on a young athlete versus if I could just go like today's landscape, he probably would have took 3 or 4 of the kids with him.
Yeah.
Because you just build that relationship with the coach, and sometimes that carries more weight than the university you attend. And I think even more so now because kids are able to transfer so many times.
Now, cue in James Franklin gets a job at Virginia Tech, former Penn State coach who was fired this year. He gets a job at Virginia Tech, and now we're starting to see recruits who are going to go to Penn State. I think there's 33 at the last count who have decommitted, who, all of a sudden, some of them are going now with James Franklin down to Virginia Tech. Maybe a logical thing. James Franklin's a heck of a recruiter. He recruited these guys, and they were going to come there with the idea they were going to play for him. Now he's not there. Where is he? Virginia Tech. I'm going to go to Virginia Tech and play, right? So I guess that's a natural next step there for these guys. Once they have left, they're going to pull people away from the university. Again, kind of smells, kind of doesn't look all that good, and yet it is the way it is, right?
It is, and I think that's where people have to understand if you could have some kind of penalty for transfer, because when I came out of high school, you were picking a university, and I got some great advice from coaches. Hey, if you could never play basketball again, pick a university you're comfortable with. I don't think students really look, especially student athletes, they're not looking at the university the way perhaps kids did back in the day when there was some penalties with transferring. So for them, it's just kind of like they may tend to follow the coach more often than not now because it's like, hey, look, I don't know how long I'm going to be committed to this university anyway.
Right. Yeah, so the whole thing is disposable, where at one time you said, well, I'm going to go to that university ostensibly to be there, get a degree, played sports. Maybe I'll go on to pros or not, but I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to, it was kind of a pure, wholesome kind of thing as we looked at it back then in the day and age when it wasn't so disposable. Now, everything's disposable. Everything's in the moment. Everything's, what have you done for me lately? Everything's, am I playing enough? Am I getting paid enough money now? I mean, the whole thing, the whole landscape, and you and I, this is the first time I brought this up with you, but it is just, it's amazing to me as I watch the whole thing kind of take place right now, having seen it the way it was.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that we still focus on some of the coaches that re-upped at the universities they were at.
Right.
I think sometimes the public can just see these coaches that go on to something bigger and better and leave a university. How about the ones that just said, you know what, I'm happy here. I'm happy with the program I have been developing. I think Penn State's running into that issue with some of the coaches that are happy with where they're at.
Well, you got like Matt Rule out at Nebraska. You get this guy Cignetti out at Indiana, who's got the number 2 team in the country. Now he's built that out of nothing. Of course, his dad back here at Indiana, University of PA for a long time. And, so yeah, we've seen that. We see people kind of sign up again and say, hey, we want to, there's loyalty here. There's some loyalty. So there are some good examples of that. You're right.
It goes back to relationships. You know that. I mean, coaches, players, relationships still matter. And I think sometimes in today's day and age, we're losing that if we can learn anything from the past, it's like, hey, how important are relationships? How important are your word? How important is your commitment?
Right.
You know, when these coaches come into these homes and talk to these players, you know, that's usually what mom and dad are looking for is, hey, what's going to happen to my son or daughter when they go off to college and now they're, you know, playing under you? That's a big responsibility as a coach.
And finally, Penn State. You got Terry Smith winning a wild one over the weekend, 40-36, and he's plainly said, I'm interested in the job. We're hearing names like BYU's Kalani Sitake. We were hearing Alabama's Kalen DeBoer. We're hearing JMU, James Madison University's Bobby Chesney, all being married. But now Smith is being floated as a potential long-term solution. There are people that are supporting him. People are putting up signs when the games are over, hired Terry Smith. What do you make of that? Has he done enough to – he's been there, obviously, for a long time as an associate head coach, but he's won 3 games. And he lost 3 games to start, 3 tough games in a tough situation. What's your take on him?
Well, I think he's in a similar situation as what the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
You know, he was going to be the coach, and they're thinking, okay, well, the cards aligned, but they wanted somebody who's familiar with the university. And, you know, it's a different way of thinking, whether they were backed into it or not. I think Penn State's kind of in the same boat. You know, they've had other candidates that they had some interest in that have signed extensions at their universities. And so it's interesting how it plays out. You know, I think for Penn State to get bowl eligible says something about the coaching staff that remained. It says something about the players, you know, continuing to fight through it. I mean, to the average fan, that might not be that big a deal, but from a player's standpoint, that says a lot about their integrity and their will to fight through some adversity. So I think it just has to play out and unfold, and sometimes you have to go against the norm. And everybody got hired for a first time. I mean, I could ask you that question too. Remember when you got hired for the first time?
I do.
Might be somebody's taking a chance.
Yeah, exactly right. And I remember it. And the guy asked me that question at the end. He said, yeah, I'm taking a chance. Why should I hire you? And you better come up with an answer. Okay? Well, you better come up with an answer. And, of course, then 5 years later, we had a state championship, so that kind of helped out. But, you know, it took a little time to get that going. And so, yeah, I remember the first.
Yeah, every coach has to have an opportunity. So
that's all you want.
It may not be the big name, but it could be the best fit.
It could be. We'll watch and see. Mark, you always have that good, level-headed look at things. That's why I talk to you. It talks me down off the ledge, okay? Thanks, buddy.
All right, have a good
week. Great week. Take care. Mark Hendrickson here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. When we come back, some final thoughts here this morning. All straight ahead on 98.9 FM and 1350 AM. Yeah, it's WOYK. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here in the final few minutes on a Monday morning, 8:53. Don't forget this afternoon at 4 p.m., you want to get warm, go inside Thomasville Country Auction. They got a sale today at 4 p.m., Mark, and they've got collectible estate from a dentist. They have a vintage tin litho wagon, children's books, Superman, Mad Catz, Force Racing wheel for PlayStation 1 or 2, Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Orioles Tejada bobblehead, vintage Putnam die and tint cabinet, bears, not real ones, but, I guess models, and Frog Bank. And they got a whole lot more. And the best way to do that is not to have me describe them, but to go see them. Go to ThomasvilleCountryAuction.com right now. Go inside there. You'll see some blue tabs on the left. Hit auction date. Today is Monday, December 1st. Easy to remember. And you'll see every item that's up for bid this afternoon. So when you go to that nice, warm, inviting atmosphere at Thomasville Country Auction that Jack and Cheryl Hooks make for you, you will know what you're going to bid on. And speaking of Jack and Cheryl Hooks, they've been doing this business for over 40 years. Ladies and gentlemen, they are really good. I used them a few years ago, and I had to settle an estate. And I tell you, I went into it, I didn't know anything. And I gave them a call. It's 717-764-5403. They come out, they explained the whole thing to me, they answered all my questions, and then they went about doing the job. They hauled the items from my mom's house to the auction house. They sold her real estate. Cheryl was able to do that, saved me lots of time, lots of headaches, lots of money. They had 4 sales to get rid of everything, and they did a magnificent job. Well, they can do the same for you. Give them a call today at 717-764-5403 and tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you, and have them come out to your home and do exactly for you what they did for me. Thomasville Country Auction. They have a sale this afternoon at 4 p.m. Route 30 West at the railroad tracks in Thomasville.
Let's check the box office from the holiday weekend.
Hollywood's giving thanks for Zootopia 2 and Wicked for Good. Disney's animated Zootopia sequel towered at the box office with a mighty $156 million over the holiday weekend.
Well, we've been official partners for 1 week. Happy anniversary. And we are functioning fine. Better than fine.
Those ticket sales ranked the second best Thanksgiving launch of all time, behind another Disney sequel, Moana 2. Universal's Wicked for Good dazzled with $93 million in its second weekend of its release. And Now You See Me, Now You Don't came in third with $10 million. Carmen Roberts, Fox News.
Here's something I'll bet you didn't know. Mariah Carey has recorded hundreds and hundreds of songs across her career. But she could have basically retired comfortably if she'd only ever released one song, and yeah, it's that one. According to The Economist, Mariah rakes in more than, get this, $2.5 million a year in royalties every year from All I Want for Christmas Is You. Wow. And some estimates claim the annual royalties are more than $3 million. Just raking it in, all because you made a song that everybody kind of plays ad nauseum every single year. Exactly right.
Maybe if you came up with like a 4th of July song, pick a holiday there's not a lot of action. And if
Well, you know what's really ironic about the whole song?
What's that?
The song is actually about someone not caring about the materialistic aspects of the holidays as long as they can be with a lover. And make $3 million while you're doing it, I guess.
For what it's worth, today is Antarctica Day. It is National Christmas Lights Day.
Feels like Antarctica out here.
AIDS Day. It's Cyber Monday. And a food holiday, National Pie Day. And Eat a Red Apple Day. And tonight, nobody's won Powerball since the last time we talked about it. So tonight's jackpot, $740 million.
Yeah.
The winner, who chose to remain anonymous, took a chance on the Blazing Suits drawing last week, calling his big win of $1 million truly a blessing. He opted for the $693,000 lump sum instead of the yearly payouts. It's not clear if the customer who didn't buy the ticket, leaving it on the counter, knew what happened. The Michigan Lottery donates proceeds to its Department of Education, contributing more than $1 billion in school aid. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
So did you catch that?
No.
Somebody ordered a ticket, they printed it out, left it on the counter, and I guess they need to sell it again. And so they sold it to the person who wanted it. and it ended up being a big winner.
By the way, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade hit an all-time ratings high. In other news, next year's Oscars will be there'll be a giant Garfield balloon. So whatever. This hour has been brought to you by Pappy's Q, the best barbecue I think you will ever taste. I really believe that. 35 North Main Street in Jacobus. Why? Because I've tasted a lot of barbecues, and I'll tell you what, this is where I go back to time and time again now. They've got all-you-can-eat menus down there. They've got the Barnyard Challenge. You can ask them about that. But they've also got ribs and crab legs are just one of their many combinations. They got Wings Night, $20, all the wings you can eat. They've got pulled pork sandwiches that are off the charts. They've got burnt ends. They've even got alligator bites. They've got seafood. You have the Alaskan crab legs, which is one of my favorites. You can find it all at Pappy's Q, 35 North Main Street, right there in Jacobus, Pennsylvania. In that little shopette across the street from Smith Village and right behind Rutter's, 717-347-7062. I believe they are closed today because of hunting, but they're normally open Monday, Thursdays, Fridays, 4 to 8, Saturdays, 10 to 7, Sundays, 10 to 8, and closed on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Pappy's Q, proud sponsor of this hour. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great day, everyone. Be careful out there. Thanks to Mark. Thanks to you. I'm Gary Sutton. It is 9 o'clock.